That should be the theme song for this mayor, Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, wrong way, Lou Rufino. Because in the midst of this crisis that he helped create by inviting illegal aliens to come to this sanctuary city that he said was the best-run sanctuary city, and hey, Abbott, you're a racist, send them here and I'll take care of them in a way I don't even take care of my citizens. You're not going to believe this. Kill that music. This Goldbrick, this slacker, is actually going to be going on a 4-day trip to Central and South America. In the middle of this crisis, Eric Adams is heading off on Wednesday to Mexico City. What the hell is he doing there? And then from Mexico City on day 2, he'll be in Puebla, Mexico. What the hell is he doing there? And then on Friday, October 6th, he's going to go to Quito in Ecuador. What is he getting? Dental work done, some medical procedures, maybe a nip and a tuck, because that's why you go to Quito. They do it so inexpensively. And then on Saturday, he's going to be in Bogota. Oh, what is he doing in Bogota? Oh, my God. Anything to avoid dealing with the problem that he helped create. And earlier today, at a press conference that he had at City Hall, he had a complete meltdown as he went off on the predominantly white reporters who cover him at Room 9 in City Hall. Listen, and because of this, he said, I'm only going to answer questions not related to my topic only once a week.
We're going to be holding once a week, just off topics, so you could ask whatever questions you want. I think we're doing that tomorrow on Tuesday. This would give you an opportunity so we don't mix the messages. We want to be as clear as possible.
So you don't mix the messages. It's because you are the one who says one thing one day and then you contradict yourself the next day. So now you're going to limit the amount of access the press has to you. So you're basically adopting a Joe Biden, since you're the Biden of Brooklyn strategy, and maybe just going to stay in the basement in some place, wherever you're hanging, wherever you hang your hat at night. That's questionable. There could be any number of places. And then he walks off after dropping his microphone once, then decides to come back to the podium and chastise this other white reporter who had the gall to ask him a question upon his exiting the podium.
No mayor in the history of this city has been more accessible, more approachable, more on the ground than I have. And so this is the rule we put in. Don't look around at your colleagues. They're not answering, I'm answering. We're going to have 1 day a week so I can do the business of running this very complicated city. And that's what it's done. Michael.
And he dropped the mic again, like he's a rapper or a comedian, like he's Dave Chappelle. Hey, ridiculous. Don't look around at your colleagues. You know, I'm bullying you, white boy. And don't think your fellow white colleagues are going to give you any tactical support. And remember, this is all part of the process of this chicken dance he does with the press corps. See, all these politicians, they love doing chicken dances. You know, keeping government going up in Washington, they do their chicken dance. These press conferences and nothing more than chicken dances where nothing ever gets said and the media is expected. Just write it word for word what I say. You know, don't do a deep dive. Don't do anything to contradict me. Remember when he came back from Albany, his first trip up there, and he swore to all of us that one of the benefits of electing him mayor, and not me, was that he knew all the players up there. He knew Carl Hasty. I mean, that was his homeboy, his homegirl, cousin Stewart's, leader of the veto-proof state Senate, along with the veto-proof state assembly. They're really calling the shots, not Kathy Crime Wave Hochul. He said, don't worry about it. They know me. I know them. I'm going to do what's in the best interest in New York City. And then he returned, and he didn't even have belly button lint. And he felt that he had been dissed and dismissed by the white press corps.
I'm a black man, that's the mayor. But my story has been interpreted by people that don't look like me. We got to be honest about that. How many blacks are in the editorial boards? How many blacks are determining how these stories are being written?
And you know something, that was directed today at the New York Post editorial board, which put out an editorial over the weekend that pointed out all these friends of Eric Adams that he's given high-ranking appointments to as advisors within the structure of City Hall. Many of them are anti-Semites. Many of them are imams of mosques within the city in which they constantly vilify Jews. And yet he has 40 advisors, so-called mockers in the Jewish community, including our own Rabbi Joe Potasnik, who doesn't say anything about that. Oh, no. Protect the mayor at all costs. Along with Reverend A.R. Bernard, who he does a show with on Sunday mornings. No. Protect the mayor at all costs. Don't talk about all the anti-Semites he's surrounded with. Because remember, for a long period of time in the 90s, he can't deny this, he was a follower of Screwy Louis Farrakhan and Khalid Muhammad. Hated white people, hated Jews, went to the Nation of Islam Mosque in Harlem on a regular basis with his very dear friend, the guy who was in charge of the mosque, Conrad Muhammad. You don't just suddenly change hate of white people and hate of Jews. And now he's surrounded by some. That editorial goes into it in depth, including one of his chief advisors has been paid off by the red Chinese in the Asian community, and he has no problem whenever he goes to an Asian event of having her accompany him, even though everyone in the crowd knows she's an agent. She might as well be an agent for the red Chinese government. And so then he'll use that kind of a line on the New York Post, because obviously it's comprised mostly of white people, the editorial board. And who can ever forget his rage at the media when he decided to mic drop the very first time, when he referred to himself, although he had never done it before, as Kunta Kinte.
People can say what they want. There are those in society that still long to see me stop saying Kunta Kinte, and they want me to say Toby. And it's uncomfortable for them. So you can whip me as much as you want, but when you take off my shirt, you'll see the scars are already there. You know, I've gotten beaten enough that I can't be beaten again. I came into government saying Kunta Kinte. I'm leaving government saying Kunta Kinte. And if you don't know who he is, go see Roots.
And then he dropped the microphone. That's become habitual of late. By the way, I don't ever remember him referring to himself as Kunta Kinte. Never. Never in written form, in any article, never in audio form, in any radio interview, and certainly not in any video form. So that's nonsense. And what he doesn't want to deal with is the questioning that's coming from the press corps about where the hell were you Friday morning, Mr. Mayor? The guy who claims you're the general, you always lead from the front, not the rear. Went from about 4 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock in the morning, your whereabouts were unknown. Nobody could find out where you were. You had not been in touch with City Hall as you claim. Nobody knew where you were. And that's because at 4 a.m., I have it on very good confidential sources, that you were hanging out at Con Sofrito, the club of Jimmy Rodriguez, infamous. We'll get into that later on before the top of the hour. In which all of a sudden you were seen following a hottie.
I would tell you I met a shorty there, but I can't say that on TV. You know?
Well, you did. We're going to find out who that is. I'm on it. But then when he finally got to City Hall at 11, the damage was already done. Remember, it was pouring. I mean, just torrential downpours starting at about 6 in the morning. The city was underwater during the rush hour. A state emergency had been declared by Kathy Crime Wave Holcomb 2 hours before Eric Adams even surfaced. Nobody knew where he was. As she was looking out of a kitchen window in her home in Erie County, across Lake Erie to the province of Ontario. She actually can see the province of Ontario, declared a state of emergency, and nobody knew where Eric Adams was. And then finally, when he gets to the microphone and he does his razzmatazz, never addressing where he was, why he was missing in action, AWOL, the first question from a reporter naturally had to do with, did this tsunami damage any of the migrant centers.
Question for Mr. Mayor. I mean, there are asylum seekers in shelters that are tent-like facilities at Creedmoor on Randall's Island. Are they safe in those facilities with these conditions? And is the city taking any steps to move them elsewhere?
We have no reported conditions in those areas on Randall's and at the Creekmore location. And of course, if there are any conditions that are dangerous, we're going to make sure that people receive the proper care and make the proper movement.
Mayor, I just got an update on Randall specifically. We've seen very minimal leaking at Randall's Island, and any problems that will be very quickly addressed. So we have no issues really at Randall's Island at this point.
But you didn't know. That's Fabian Levy. That's his lapdog who got promoted to deputy mayor at an outrageous pay scale to simply try to put a spin on everything wrong with the Eric Adams administration. And now the spin is you're only going to be able to ask questions once a week, off topic. Doesn't matter. I'll tell you what you can ask questions about. This is ridiculous. At that very same time, when he was having his press conference Friday at 12, if you remember listening to the Rip and Read, that's why you always have to. I already had videos that were coming in from Floyd Bennett Field. Mike Sullivan of the Seven Sullivan Brothers, Breezy Point, First in War, First in Peace, was in a 4x4. Had to be about a good 3 foot of water on the floor on the very runway 19, where they want to put up the tents and bring in 7,500 single able-bodied men of military age with nothing to do and nowhere to go, illegal, so that they can run all through the neighborhoods of Brooklyn, Mill Basin, Marine Park, those immediate areas, and obviously across the Gil Hodges Bridge into the Irish Riviera, the Rockaways. I gave you updates of Creedmoor, where the tent had sprung leaks and the illegal aliens were running out into the street and hiding in the bus shelters. And I gave you updates on all other places that had migrant centers where torrential rains had caused all kinds of problems. Now, I have limited resources. The city of New York has like 10 trillion times the resources, and yet I was able to provide all of that to you because the bottom line is, look, I'm the mayor in exile. I'm on the island of Manhattan like Napoleon was on the island of Elba. This guy is not ready for prime time. Look, in the midst of this emergency, he's taking a 4-day vacation starting Wednesday. He's going to Mexico City, after that Puebla in Mexico. Then he's going to Quito in Ecuador, no doubt to get some dental and medical procedures because it's a lot cheaper there. And then finally to Bogota, Colombia before he returns on Sunday. Get the hell out of here. What the hell are you doing going on a junket now as 8 buses a day keep coming into the Port Authority unloading hundreds of illegal aliens that you welcomed into our city?